Hi everyone, welcome to another Vinyasa flow. I'm Lisa, I teach at Planet Grad in Portland. So for today's practice, you'll need 2 cork blocks or you can use your books. If you have one of these little balls, it's really handy, but if you don't, grab a blanket. Actually, everyone will need a blanket. So when you do grab your blanket, and if you don't have one of these little balls, we'll take it like this. Grab your blanket, fold it in half, and then roll it into a little tube. Because we're actually going to start in what's called restorative fish pose. So you'll come down onto your back with your either blanket tube, you don't need that because you have a ball. Okay. Your blanket tube like this, or you'll have a ball. Straighten your legs and come down onto your back. Now, if your head doesn't go all the way to the floor, grab one of your blocks and place them behind your head. And come into, again, what's called restorative fish. And it's a really gentle back bend. If you don't have a ball or a blanket, that's okay too. Just come down into a Shavasana position with your body flat on the floor. We always want to start our yoga practice with a little bit of breath work. So take a nice full inhale. Open up your mouth and let it all go. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, breath. Open up your mouth and let it all go. Good. So we want to soothe our nervous system before we start our practice. And you can check in these moments. And remember the checking in and what your body's feeling. And when I say body, I'm not just talking about your physical body. I'm talking about your emotional state as well. And remember, it's not a judging. It's just a noticing. How do you feel today? If you're a little more stressed out, you might notice. And that will have an effect on your tissues. And when I say an effect on your tissues, I just mean that the stretching usually gets a little more tighter in sensation when we're in high stress than when we're in more of a relaxed and restful state. Good. So just take 3 more full cycles of breath. Nice long inhales, but extra long exhales, because our exhale breath is linked to our parasympathetic. Now, if you have anything behind your head, move your block off to the side so that this is a nice big thoracic spine extension. Interlace your hands behind your back and now zip your legs all the way together so they're very strong and the muscles around the bones are toned in your legs. On your next inhale breath, come up. I know it's not the same. Usually you exhale and curl. Today we're inhaling. And now as you exhale, very slowly descend back to the floor. Inhale to rise. And exhale to lower. I forgot to tell everybody, this is definitely a core focused class today. And I actually like to call it the trunk. Because your core is not just your front body, it's your whole torso, which includes your back erectors, your glutes are included in your core, your obliques. So that'll be our focus for today. But keep going. And as you curl up on your inhale breath, pretend when you get all the way up to the curl, like you're gonna lift your legs, but don't actually lift them. And you'll feel how even more of your core tones and your hip flexors. Use your exhale to slow the descent to the floor. So remember that concentrically, the muscles contract and they shorten when you come up, just like this. And when you go down, that's an eccentric loading for most of the muscle fibers as you descend to the floor. The eccentric is, it makes you a little bit stronger, faster than the concentric, as we know today. Can you do 3 more? Inhaling to rise. And slowing your exhale breath to just turn on the parasympathetic a little bit easier while also strengthening your core muscles. Let's do that 2 more times. Last one. As you reach all the way up, hold and reach towards your toes. Take another inhale breath here, and exhale, come all the way up to center. Unroll your blanket so that it goes back into its normal blanket position, and we'll use this quite a bit today if you don't have a ball, so keep it nearby. Come to all fours, hands and knees. Tuck your toes. Instead of doing traditional cat-cows, we're gonna lift our knees so they hover 1 inch off the floor, and now round your spine into flexion and extension. Just 3 times. A lot of today's practice is going to be in counts of 3 or in counts of 5. Notice that you'll feel your thighs a little bit more here. Now the next time you come back to neutral, lower the knees to the floor. Make sure one of your blocks is at the front of your mat on the left-hand side, and now grab your blanket and toss it over your right calf. Bird dog with a little added weight. Extend your right leg straight back, the blanket's balancing on your calf, and you can optionally grab a block and use it as weight. Now flip your palm to face up, take a nice full inhale as you reach and lengthen, and on your exhale, draw your knee to your chest and your elbow to your chest. Now hold here and push into your shin bone and push into your hand. Inhale and re-extend. Exhale again, round and curl. And inhale to re-extend. One last time. And then re-extend, rotate your palm face down and lower and lift your leg, but try not to lift your foot any higher than your glute. So these are small movements. Your hand only goes as high as your shoulder. Keep going for about 5 more. So the reason why I'm having you hold a block and to load your leg with the blanket is because tissue adaptation doesn't come from rest. And over time, if this becomes easier, we need to add more load. Good, hold here and reach, nice full breath, and release, good. From here, tuck your toes and come back to downward facing dog. Pedal out of your legs. It's your first downward facing dog of the day. Good, then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Inhale, come forward, bend your knees, 3 times, hover your knees from the floor and try your cat-cows. Good. Make sure as you do your cat-cows, it's not just your upper back that's rounding, but your lower back is mobile as well. For some of us, it's easier to mobilize one or the other, but maybe not both. And notice if your thoracic spine is mobilizing from your scapulas moving. It's actually just your scapula is moving and not necessarily the thoracic spine. Good, and then lower the knees all the way down to the floor, opposite side. So now throw your blanket over your left calf, and you'll hold your block, or skip it and don't add load in your right hand. Palm is face up, take a nice full inhale in your bird dog. Exhale, round and curl, press into your shin bone, press into your hand. Inhale and re-extend. Exhale and round and curl. One more time. And now we'll re-extend into our bird dog, palms face down, lower and lift. So as we know it right now in science, the only way to strengthen and heal tendons is through progressive loading, also known as progressive overload. So these are just gentle movements with a little added weight that could help. Last 3, 2, and on 1, hold, reach, extend, and release. Tuck your back toes, downward facing dog. Nice long inhale. Extra. One last warm up for our hips and core. So come back down to all fours, hands and knees. Take your blanket over your right calf. I'm gonna spin in this direction so that I can face you, but Stephen will stay in the same direction. Hover or spin on your shin bone so that your pelvis can open, almost like a half moon, a variation of side plank, but you're gonna float this leg up. Reach your other arm towards the front wall and now lower and lift this leg. And this time it can go as high as you want to. we're looking for a little bit of the outer glutes, which so far we know that it can help increase pace for running. It also helps mobilize the IT band, lateral leg lifting. So if your IT band ever feels tight, do more lateral leg lifts. Almost there, 3, 2, hold on 1, just a big stretch. And now release your foot to the floor and take modified Vashisthasana. Let your rib cage lift and crescent to stretch all of the intercostal muscles around the rib basket. And release. Switch sides. Same thing. One more time, other side. Remember, if this stuff gets too heavy, toss it. It doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. So reach the top arm over your ear, lower and lift this left leg. Now if you can, try to keep extension out through your leg so it's not bending, it's staying fully straight and active. And when I say active, it means like that the thigh muscles and the hamstrings feel like they're squeezing your femur bone. And that the same thing with the calf tissues and the shin bones are all engaged and reaching back. Just 3 more, 3, 2, and 1. Come back into your downward facing dog. You can toss your blanket off to the side. Inhale, shift forward to a plank pose. Exhale, shift back, downward facing dog. We'll just do this 3 times. Inhale, shift forward, plank. Use your exhale breath to shift back. One last pose. Take a nice big inhale breath here, and now very slowly count to 10 as you descend to the floor. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, halfway there, 4, 3, 2, and 1. That descent can really help get your core and your shoulders strong. So from here, take your fingertips off to the sides and come up to a wide cobra. Good. And then exhale, release back down. Do that 2 more times, wide cobra. So bringing your shoulder blades down and creating clarity here in the neck. So notice if your shoulders hike up. 1 more time. Just warming up our spine and spinal extensions. And then come all the way back down and fly into Shalamasana. So arms slide back, feet can be together, which creates more abduction to the hips and sometimes can feel harder for some of us. It is optional, so if it feels like it's too much, if you want more load, take your arms either cactus or arms straight forward. Make sure that you can still breathe wherever pose you choose. Nice big inhale breath, and exhale, release. Slide your hands next to your rib cage, tuck your toes, take a full inhale. Slow press to plank. If you want to count to 10, you're welcome to. Remember that the halfway mark would be at the 90-degree bend of your elbows. Nice, even. And back downward facing dog. Pedal out your legs once you're there. Take a few breaths. And now inhale your right leg to the sky. Exhale your knee to your tricep. Good. Inhale, re-extend. Exhale, knee to tricep. Try to keep your hips lifted as you transition. 1 more time. Knee up, straight leg, knee to tricep on your exhale, and now step outside your right hand. This is kind of a weird shape, but you're gonna spin your back foot down like a warrior 2. So your toes are gonna point towards the side wall or maybe even slightly towards the back wall, but then come up like you're doing a warrior 1. So it's a kind of half and half, the warrior 1 in the front, but this one leg is doing a warrior 2 position. And what you should feel is that there's more external rotation in this back leg. All right, take a nice full inhale here, diving deep into your front leg. Exhale, Skandasana to the back. So you'll lift your front foot of your right foot and sink into your back leg. Inhale and come back up to this weird warrior 1, warrior 2 thing. Exhale and shift back, Skandasana, but high if you can. We'll go to low in just a moment. This time on your third one, option to take your hands inside your feet, maybe even walk them back underneath your glutes and then lower down. So a deeper Skandasana. Now all I really care about is this back foot stays grounded, the whole thing. So sometimes when we come into Skandasana, I'll see people lift up onto their tippy toes. Now the reason why I want you to keep this heel down is because it's going to help you engage your hamstring. Now with your hands on the floor, walk yourself back. Three-legged down dog, right leg to the sky. Bend your knees, stack your hips, and scorpion, you might kick your leg out a few times. And release. Let's do the other side. Inhale, left leg to the sky. Exhale, knee to tricep. Inhale and re-extend. Exhaling again to knee to tricep. Inhale. Exhale, knee to tricep. And then use that to step outside your hand. The higher your hips lift, the easier it will be to step. Spin this back foot down so that your right toes point towards the side wall. And now inhale, come up like you're doing a warrior one, but it's a quarter of a warrior two. Sink deeply into this front leg. You feel the external rotation of your back leg. Skandasana to the back. Heel stays grounded. Inhale to come back up. Exhale to the back. And inhale to come back up. One more time. Coming all the way back. I think I did one extra, that's okay. Fingertips back, sink down into your Skandasana. And breathe here. Remember, heel down and the bent knee. And now crawl to the front of your mat, spin your back heel up. Three-legged down dog, bend your knee and stack your hips. Give your leg a little bit of a shake. And then lower your foot back to the floor. Inhale, come forward, plank pose. Exhale, slow descent to the floor. 10, 9, 8, 7. If you feel like this is too challenging, come down to your knees. 3, 2, and 1. If you have a light block, you might want to use that if you don't have a ball. So if you have a ball, you want to grab it, bring it behind your back, and try to pull your ball or your block apart. And then float everything you can off the floor. So it's a bound Shalamasana, but we're using our strong climber hands to engage and try to pull the block or the ball apart. Now we'll play a little bit with this. Keep lifted and take one arm forward, meet it at the front, and then take it back. And then sweep it back around, and take it back behind you. One more time each side. Last one. Staying lifted the whole time. And set your ball or your block off to the side. Come down, rest. Take your hands under your forehead as a pillow and swish your hips from left to right. Nice long breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Okay, so grab your ball or your blanket. And with your blanket, you're gonna fold it up so it goes right underneath your chest. So we're gonna do the hardest chaturangas of our life, the easiest chaturangas of our life, followed by the hardest. So you're resting your chest either on the ball, which is way more comfortable than the blanket, I'll be honest, or you can rest on the blanket. So it's a little squishy to the chest tissues, I know, the blanket is, but the ball rests right between the sternum, so it's a little less discomfort. But from here, we'll lift our shoulder heads up away from the floor, gaze down towards the ground so your head is lengthened outside your spine, meaning it's not falling and it's not overextending. And now tuck your toes and lift your hips, lift your knees. So this is chaturanga. You're already in line. It's the easiest chaturanga because you can even lift your hands off the floor possibly. Now see if you can hover 1 inch off the ball or off the blanket. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest. Shake it out. We're gonna do that just one more time. Strong shoulders. Isometrics. Just a few seconds of isometrics because these are so hard. All right, slide your hands back for chaturanga. Shoulder heads are lifted up and back so you're using some of that back body tissues. Gazes down at the floor. Lift your pelvis, lift your knees, tucking your toes. And now from your easiest chaturanga, lift 1 millimeter off your ball. You got this. 5, 4, keep shaking. 3, 2, and on this time, 1, either lower your knees to straighten your arms or just press straight up. And back downward facing dog. Set your ball or your blanket off to the side. We will use them again. So now we're gonna build on to that same flow we just did. Inhale, right leg to the sky. Exhale, knee to tricep. Inhale to re-extend. Same thing, knee to tricep. One more time. This time you're gonna take your knee to tricep, keep your hips lifted as you step outside your right hand. I know that transition's hard. Spin your back heel down so your toes point all the way towards the wall to the left, and inhale your arms up. Exhale, Skandasana. Now if you want to, you can go low. If you wanna get stronger, stay higher. Inhale and come back up. Higher being not in, some of you can just collapse into here like this. This is relaxing to me. This is harder. Inhale, come back up. One more time, Skandasana to the back. And then come all the way up. Take a nice full breath. Exhale, both hands to the inside of your front foot. Spin the back heel up. Three-legged down dog. Bend your knee and stack your hips. Maybe even come up onto your right fingertips so that more of your load is in your left arm. Good, now plant your right hand down for fallen triangle. You'll take this leg across and underneath and kick it off to the side. It's a variation of Vashisthasana, which is side plank. Then we'll come back to our scorpion dog. So left hand down, right leg up, bend your knee and stack your hips. Come up onto your right fingertips. And now maybe if you're on your right fingertips and you feel stable, try to lift, hold your scorpion dog and reach your fingertips on the right a little towards the front wall. Now, how gracefully, without your right hand, can you step your right foot forward to a warrior one? So soft and gracefully. Woo! Spin your back heel down and take both arms up. Now make sure before we move on that both of your blocks are at the front of your mat. That's where you'll need them. So traditional warrior one, back heel is normal. Take a nice full inhale. Exhale, Ardha Virabhadrasana one, and hold. Now, if you're holding and it feels like, wow, my arms feel so heavy, fly your arms back into airplane or take them into cactus. But this is the load that's gonna add the most. If you want more for the next 3 breaths, pick up a block or 2 blocks and reach forward. One more big breath. And hands to the blocks. Come all the way up to a supported warrior 3. From your warrior 3, we're gonna play around with picking up your blocks or your books. The books are gonna be heavy if you have them. But pick your blocks up and now do a little narrow row pull and then lower them back down. This is called tiny human ball. So bend both knees towards your chest, round your back. So see if you can get your belly or your chest on your thighs. Now come high up on your right tippy toes. Look back towards the wall behind you and see if you can close the gap between your left heel and your left glute. Inhale, come all the way back up to warrior 3. Pick up your blocks and do something fun with them. Lower your blocks back down. Tiny human ball, round in. 3 more. Inhale, come up. Maybe do something different with your blocks. And set them back down, tiny human ball. You're gonna start to feel your right leg. We got 2 more. Inhale. Maybe you take your blocks wide out to the sides. And then come back down. Tiny human ball on your exhale. Last full cycle. All the way up to warrior 3. Virabhadrasana 3. Blocks back to the floor, tiny human ball. Now keep your hands on your blocks at their highest setting. Come into warrior 3, but now externally rotate your left leg and your pelvis. But keep this left shoulder pushing down into the left block, and you're gonna get this really nice twisty rotation on the thoracic spine. Now once you feel solid and your right toes are still pointing forward, open to Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Once you're in half moon, lift and lower this leg. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and on 1, softly step back. Instead of clunking back to warrior 2, soft step back to warrior 2. Take a nice big inhale breath. Nice exhale breath and sink a little bit deeper. We're not gonna be here too long. Trikonasana is next. On your inhale, straighten through your front leg and come into Trikonasana. So I don't recommend pushing down onto your shin bone because what typically I see happens is that we go into hyperextension of the knee joint. We don't really want that. I've had 2 ACL replacements because of it. It's not fun, it's expensive. So I'll take a block, make sure that my knee is not going into hypermobility. There's a little micro bend there. And I might take my block and take my arm up, or you can take it over. You can take your block behind you. You could also half bind, or you could even float your arm. So make your Trikonasana your own for the next 2 cycles of breath. All right, and on your next inhale, come back up to Warrior 2 of your Virabhadrasana 2. This might be the most complicated piece of the entire flow. So I'll have Stephen hold the Warrior 2, but you can watch me up here. You'll take your right elbow to touch your right thigh. Your left hand will go to the floor. Then from here, your ball of your back foot will spin all the way over to the pinky toe side. So there's an internal rotation here, and you'll keep the elbow and the thigh connected as you open up. Then you'll keep the elbow and thigh connected as you point your bottom toes and come into a harder version of side plank. Then we'll release back to downward facing dog. Okay, so let's do it together. I won't show it again because you can always rewind if you want to later. So Warrior 2, take a nice full breath. Exhale your right elbow to your right knee. Keep that connection through this entire movement. Take your left hand to the floor. Spin and internally rotate until you come to the pinky toe side of your left foot. Now pick up your foot off the floor to keep the connection and make a little triangle here. Now extend this top arm, plant your hand, now keeping the connection. Hand goes to the floor. And now keep that as you take your left arm up. You go to the inside edge of your back foot. Good, and then left hand down, downward facing dog. Whew. Take 3 breaths in your down dog, or take a child's pose. Child's pose is a great option, because if you're like, holy smokes, I did not know this class was gonna be this hard, it's okay. Take a Vinyasa, take a child's pose. In fact, take it anytime you want. On your next inhale, lift your heels. Exhale, bend your knees, hop, step, walk, or handstand to the front of your mat. Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift, lengthen. I like to stretch my arms forward because it just loads the posterior chain more. Exhale and bow in. Inhale, rise to stand, Ardha Hastasana, arms to the sky. And on your exhale, bend your elbows out to the side, stretch your chest, maybe even reach towards the wall behind you as you sweep your hands back to your heart center. All right, same thing, second side. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale and forward fold. Take this time to add your own movement for 6 breaths, also known as Vinyasa. So that means to mindfully place. So you can mindfully place yourself back into any movement that feels good to your body. Or you can do the traditional sense, which is the jump back, chaturanga, up dog, down dog. And we'll all meet back in downward facing in the next 3 breaths. All right, come back to downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg to the sky. Bend your knee and stack your hips. Good, exhale, knee to tricep. Inhale, re-extend, traditional 3-legged down dog. Exhale again, knee to tricep. Inhale to re-extend. This time, when you bring your left knee to your tricep, step outside your left hand. Spin your back foot down to that weird Warrior 2 position, but come up like you're doing a Warrior 1. We'll say it's a quarter Warrior 2, because only one leg is doing a Warrior 2. On your next exhale, Skandasana to the back. It can be high, it can be low. Inhale and come back up. Exhale, Skandasana to the back. And come back up. This time, last time, Skandasana to the back. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, hands to the floor. Spin to the ball of your right foot. Sweep your left leg up to the sky. Bend your knee and stack your hips. Maybe come up onto your left fingertips. Good. Then plant your left hand back down and come into fallen triangle. So you'll take your left leg underneath you and kick it off to the side. Your right arm will go up and over your ear or towards the ceiling. It's a variation of Vashisthasana. Good, then we'll come back. Right hand down, left leg up. Bend your knees, stack your hips again to scorpion. Come up onto your left fingertips. Good, now if you're on your fingertips and you can find stability, maybe reach your hand up without falling towards the other side. And now see how slowly and methodically you might step all the way to lunge and then spin the back heel down for Virabhadrasana 1. Nice big inhale. Exhale, Ardha Virabhadrasana 1. So remember, we're trying to get our body from our heel all the way through our fingertips on one diagonal line. Now if the arms forward feels like it's too much, Arms to cactus, arms straight out to the sides or arms behind you is always another great option. So yes, you're weighting a little bit more into this front leg, but can you activate your back leg? Can you lift up through your low belly and still feel that your back erectors are working for you here? All right, hands to blocks on your next exhale breath. Warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3. And then play with your blocks a little bit. Maybe you do that narrow row or the arms forward or the arms wide. Obviously the cork blocks are easier. Blocks down, tiny human ball. Both knees bend into your chest. Round your spine, come up high up on your left heel and bend your elbows. Inhale and re-extend. Play with your blocks and your balance. Blocks down, tiny human ball. Inhale to re-extend. Good, and exhale again to tiny human ball. One more time, or no, 2 more times. We don't want to miss out. Falling over is great. We like wobbling all over the place. It makes it more interesting. Woo! Okay, come back into your warrior 3. Both hands down, and now open your pelvis to the right. Like you're gonna step back to a warrior 2, but not quite yet. So push into your right hand and feel how this twists the thoracic spine. Good, now gently open, finding your balance, half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. Lower and lift your right leg for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Softly step back to warrior 2. Try not to thump to warrior 2. Nice big inhale. Sink on your exhale. You're not going to be here long. We're going to Trikonasana in just a moment. Inhale, straighten through your front leg. Trikonasana, trying to place your hand on your block. So one of the ways that you can place your hand on your shin bone, instead of pushing down and taking the knee into hypermobility, squeeze your calf or your shin bone and pull up. It'll make your Trikonasana a little more interesting as well. You're also welcome to take a half bind. You're welcome to take your arm alongside your ear or up towards the ceiling. But take just 2 more full cycles of breath. Really long inhale and extra long exhales. Last one. Use your next inhale to come back to warrior 2. So here we go in that really weird side plank thing. Keep the elbow connected to your thigh. Take your right hand to the floor and now spin all the way to the pinky toe side of your right foot. Open. Keep that connection as you take your left hand back down to the floor. Point your left toes, spin to the back heel, and open up. Then the right hand comes down, 3-legged down dog. Bend your knee and stack your hips. Release both feet to the floor. Option here to add your own vinyasa, whatever you want it to be, which could be a drink of water. Highly recommended vinyasa is drinking water. Remember that your tissues will be more fluid if you're well hydrated. Child's pose is another great option. So we're gonna go through that flow again, but we're gonna add on to it. But before we add on, we're gonna do a little bit more for our core trunk area that'll help us in the flow to make it easier. So grab your blanket, roll it into a little tube, but if you have a purple ball, grab the purple ball, it's way better. So you have this tube, and you'll place the tube on your side body, right between where the rib cage and the pelvis is, that soft tissue where your obliques are. Well, your obliques are more than there, but you'll bend your bottom knee and straighten your top leg. Doesn't matter which side, because we're gonna do both sides. Now take your hands down to the floor where it supports your head. Reach towards your toes. Now you're gonna keep this leg grounded the whole time. If you wanna make this more challenging, lower your elbow around your face here. If you wanna make it less challenging, prop yourself up. Take a nice big inhale. Stay here on your exhale. On your next inhale breath, rise up. Inhale, come up. Exhale to slowly lower. Inhale to come up. Exhale to slowly lower. Let's see how many we can do. So I'm more interested in descent. The lift is necessary, but the descent is more intriguing to me. Because usually we can just kind of let ourselves fall into it. But can you find the resistance? Let's do 3 more. Then next time you lower down, take both arms overhead. Nice big full stretch. Good, and then let's rotate to the other side. So you can just roll over, but I'll face you to go this direction. Stephen will stay in the same spot. So easier is elbow down, bottom knee is bent, top leg is straight, keep that foot grounded. Reach towards your toes, and then in this position, lift up. And like I said, if you want more movement, elbow in, head goes all the way to the floor. Inhale to lift, and exhale to lower. Inhale to lift, and exhale to lower. So some of you, as you keep going, you might wonder, why are we using the ball or the blanket tube? And that's because it'll allow us more range than if we were all the way down to the ground. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. How many more do you think we need to do?
I've done 7.
You've done 7?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that 8?
Yeah.
Let's do 2 more. 9 and 10. Reach and stretch over the ball. And then we'll come up, take your ball off to the side, or your blanket, and come all the way down. Actually, mix that. Grab your blanket or your ball and place it in your inner thighs. So we get a little bit of a hip abduction. Squeeze, and now reach towards your toes. Now, without bringing your feet closer to you like this, try to lift your legs straight up towards the sky. It's a harder movement. It's a more pelvic tilting. It's really good for our low back. So lift up, reach towards your toes, lift your pelvis up, and then lower partly down. Squeeze your legs together, and then lower partly down. Squeeze, and lower. And squeeze, and lower. Just maybe 5 more, you think?
Sure.
Squeeze, lift. Squeeze and lift. Almost there. Squeeze and lift. Let's add 3 more. 3, 2. On your last one, stay lifted. Reach towards your toes. Reach your toes towards the sky. Squeeze, squeeze. Lower belly down. And release. Yay! Rock yourself up to seated. Toss your blanket and your ball off to the side. All right, reverse tabletop. So take both feet flat to the floor. Fingers are going to point towards your glutes. And then from here, bring your heart up and your shoulders back. Then press down into your heels to lift your pelvis. One more big breath. And exhale to lower all the way down to the floor. Hug your knees into your chest. Start to roll forward and back on your spine until you can come all the way up to Tadasana. Grab your blocks. Hopefully they're right back at the front of your mat. We're going to do a little bit of a practice here. So hands to the blocks, push down into them, and now flamingo your left leg. Let the knee point towards your left elbow, and now bend into your right leg and see how low you can sink before you have to put your left top of your foot to the floor, and then come down into what I like to call Hanuman squat, because Hanuman is depicted this way quite a bit. All right, so hands back down. We're gonna practice coming up on one leg as much as we can. So what will happen is you'll need to use this back leg on the tops of your foot until you feel like you can flamingo it back up, and then come all the way back up to standing and release your foot. Flamingo the same leg, Now, if you don't want to do this with blocks, this is what it looks like. Sink, 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 hands to heart. Lower as much as you can, and then place this foot on the floor to slowly and controlled descend to the ground. And then we go back up. Shift your weight forward, flamingo, and stand up. You can stand all the way up if you don't have the blocks. And then one more time. Sinking, 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 sinking. Top of the foot, lowers down. Try not to fall into it. And then sink, flamingo, as low as you can. And then with your strong thighs, stand up. Switch sides. So we'll all start with the blocks. Right leg is your flamingo now. Left leg is down. Bend your knees. See how low you can sink. Top of the right foot, knee goes out to the side and you sit down. All right, so again, you choose 3 times with blocks or without blocks. See how you can flamingo at one point and stand all the way up. Then we're gonna get into that second round of our same flow. Top of the foot, lowers all the way down. Press down. Whew. These are so fun. They get you better at your pistol squats for sure. Last one all the way up to the top. And stand down. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale to forward fold. Do your own vinyasa. Anything that feels good to your body, insert that now. So we're building on to the flow we've already done. Just a few little additives. All right, inhale, right leg to the sky. Exhale your knee to your tricep. Hold against your tricep, slide down to your wrist, slide up to your armpit. Do that 2 more times, slide down to your wrist, slide up to your armpit. Last time, slide down to your wrist, slide up to your armpit and squeeze. Step outside your right hand, spin your left heel down like a warrior 2 leg. And inhale, come up like you're doing a warrior 1. Nice big inhale. Exhale, skandasana to the back. Inhale to come back up. Exhale, skandasana to the back. One more time. Inhale to go back up. Exhale, hands to the floor. Scorpion your down dog here, or flip all the way into wild thing. Wild thing means that your right leg stays bent and your left leg stays straight. It's a back bend. Now we'll switch. This is very flippy and fun. Take your right hand to the floor and come into fallen triangle, kicking your leg all the way over to the other side. Top arm goes over the ear or up towards the ceiling. Then we're gonna flip back to our wild thing. Optional, you can always stay in scorpion. Then we'll very slowly transition to warrior 1. So look down at your left hand, pick up your right foot and see how softly you can step all the way to the front of your mat. Spin your back heel down, Virabhadrasana 1, nice big inhale. Exhale, Ardha Virabhadrasana 1 and hold. Breathing here. So remember, if you want to make it more challenging, grab your blocks. Strengthen the shoulders, strengthens your back. Press out through your back leg. And exhale, hands to the blocks. I'm going to step back a little bit so you guys can see. Warrior 3, 5 times. Tiny human ball. Use it as your exhale. Inhale to come back up. Play with your warrior 3 with your blocks. Blocks back down. Tiny human ball. Inhale and come back up. So when you come to the tiny human ball, don't forget that heel lift. When you're curling in, it just helps with ankle articulation, toe strength, because you're using all of your body weight now on only that one foot. I lost track. What number are you on?
This is my last one.
Last one.
5.
Okay, for a total of 5. Half moon is next. So open up your pelvis. Now, if your balance is feeling awesome today, come up onto your fingertips on your block, and now maybe reach your arm forward. Now, hopefully your balance is super awesome. Pulse that back leg for 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gentle step back to warrior 2. Inhale, straighten through your front leg. And now this time we're gonna do a more core focused Trikonasana. So you'll reach forward, hinging at your hips, and hold this arm. Now maybe this arm on the top reaches back towards the wall behind you, or you might take your arms up and over. Now wherever you land in Trikonasana, make sure that you can breathe. So you can change your spinal angle, right? So if this feels like it's too much, come up higher in your Trikonasana. If the arms feel too heavy, take one back, maybe take both back. Take one more full cycle of breath. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, warrior two. Here we go with that weird side plank again. Keep your elbow and your thigh connected the whole time. Spin the right hand or the left hand to the floor, and then open up to your weird side plank. Now this hand stays connected to the thigh as your hand goes down, your toes point, and come back up. Then we'll go to wild thing. So left hand comes down, open. Wild thing is optional, you can always do a side plank instead. And then spin all the way around, right foot comes forward, bend your back knee all the way to the floor, and take monkey tail, which is a twisting thigh stretch. If you can't reach your thigh, that's okay. Just bend through the front knee. Make sure you're not on the kneecap, but that you're on the lower edge of your quadricep, just above the kneecap. All right, so from here, take your left shin bone, push down into your fingertips, and draw it forward. Oh, here we go. Walk your hands back to come into all fours. We're gonna practice a little bit of a different version of reverse tabletop. Fingers point back towards the wall behind you. Bring your heart up, push down into your heels and lift your pelvis. And now take your right arm across. Good. Now see if you can pick up your left foot. Tuck it in and sit all the way down. Ah, we remember being here. Hands to heart or hands to blocks. Just twice. Push down into your strong front leg, flamingo, and stand all the way up. Maybe this time you kick your leg forward. Bring it back in, point your toes, sink, 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 sink as low as you can before you take that left foot to the floor. Just one more time. It's a good one for skiers and snowboarders. And then we'll sink back down. Woo! Let's do the other side. So fingers point towards the wall behind you, not towards your sacrum. Plant both feet. Lift your shoulders and your heart, or lift your shoulders back and heart up, and lift to reverse tabletop. Now your opposite arm reaches across. Pick up this leg, and now tuck it in and sit down. Woo! Here we go. Either hands on blocks or hands to heart. Push down. See if you can flamingo that leg early. Ooh, I'm wobbly. And then come up. One leg is always stronger than the other for most people. And one leg is also better at balancing than the other typically. So if you're wobbling all over the place like I am, awesome. It's good for us. Maybe that little kick. And then come back down. Come all the way down to the floor. This time hands to the ground. Step back, downward facing dog. Let's do all of that again on the other side. And we'll see if we have time to add a few more things. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, knee to tricep. Slide down to your wrist and up to your armpit. And down to your wrist and up to your armpit. One more time, down to your wrist, up to your armpit, squeeze and hold. Inhale, re-extend the leg towards the sky. Oh, exhale, step outside your hand. I made it easier for you this time. Swing your back heel down and come up to that half warrior one, partly warrior two position. So both arms are up towards the sky. Exhale, skandasana to the back of the mat. 3 times. Inhale, press into that strong back leg, come up, warrior one-ish, and exhale, back to skandasana. Last one, warrior one-ish thing with a more externally rotated back leg, skandasana to the back. Then inhale, come up, exhale, both hands to the inside of your left foot, spin yourself onto your ball of your back foot and sweep that right or left leg up to the sky. Bend your knee and stack your hips. Stay here in your scorpion down dog or flip all the way around into wild thing. In Wild Thing this time, the right leg would stay straight and the left knee would stay bent. Good, and now you'll reach around, place that left hand back on the floor to kick your leg off to the side for fallen triangle or a variation of Vashisthasana. Right hand back down. Let's see if we can flip it all the way back around to your Wild Thing. Good. Now we're gonna slowly transition to Warrior One. One of the key aspects is to rotate those toes on the back foot to point towards the side, and that'll help you step all the way forward, slowly and controlled, and then rise up to Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, Ardha Virabhadrasana 1. Remember, arms can fly back, arms can come to the sides, arms can cactus. Breathe here. One last cycle of breath, reaching out through your right heel. Exhale, hands to the blocks. Come up to your Virabhadrasana 3. This is our last time we do this. Warrior 3, maybe with a block lift. Hands down, blocks down, tiny human ball. Come on, high up on your left tippy toes, round your spine. Inhale and re-extend, play with your blocks, Warrior 3. Blocks back down, tiny human ball. Keep going 3 more times. Inhale is your expression, where everything goes to straight. And exhale is your compression, where everything releases, just like your lungs. On your inhale, they express and they expand. And then on your exhale, your diaphragm contracts and they squeeze. What number is this? 4. Okay. Last one. Last one, best one. Joe's watching. And then open your hips to Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Oh, Stephen liked to add a block. That would make it even harder. You weren't thinking. Lower and lift this back leg, maybe without your hands on your block. Maybe. And if you fall out, it doesn't matter. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Softly step back, Virabhadrasana 2. Nice full inhale. Your Trikonasana is next. So you'll straighten your front leg, reaching forward. Maybe this arm reaches and stays hovering. Maybe this arm stays back. Maybe both arms go forward. Remember, you don't have to take your body parallel to the floor. It might be up more. Just wherever you can hold this while still breathing full breaths. That's all I care about. Make sure that that bottom knee is not going into hypermobility. There's a little micro bend, just the teeniest one. Last full cycle. Use your next inhale to come back up, Virabhadrasana 2. From your Warrior 2, bring your elbow to your thigh. This hand goes to the floor. Spin all the way internally, rotating your right foot so you can lift up and come into that triangle position. Then you keep the connection of your thigh to your forearm or your elbow as you point your bottom toes and open up. Then from here, we'll come to Wild Thing, all the way up and around. Look down at your hand, point your right toes towards the left side of the room, and see if you can gracefully step forward, lower your back knee down for monkey tail. Remember, you're not on the kneecap in your monkey tail. You're on the lower edge of the quadricep, if you can get it there. All right. Then release your stretch and slide your right knee forward to seated. Okay, then you can sit down and take your right foot forward. So, you are welcome to practice the same movement that we did before, where our fingers point back, lift up your pelvis, reach to one side, pick up this foot, and tuck it in. Maybe adding those lower end lifts with the little one-legged squats. Or you can try this kind of challenging move. So remember which direction your warriors are facing, right? The front of your mat. You'll lift up, reach over, pick up this foot, hollow your belly, keeping this toe pointing forward, step back, Warrior 2. Then you'll come back down, bring it in, and back to the floor. Second side, it looks like this. Pelvis up, you reach, pick up your right foot, hollow your belly, to step all the way back to Warrior 2. I know, it's a really unique transition, like we're just playing with it. So if you're like, oh, that's way too hard, I don't have the hip mobility right now, that's totally fine. Just practice the one we did before, where you're doing reverse tabletop to your twisted crab position, maybe picking up your foot and tucking it in. We have time for it, I think. All right, awesome. Good, and then lower all the way down. Just a few stretches before we come into Shavasana. Extend your left leg off to the side, or right leg. Let's do right leg. Tuck in your other foot. Take a nice big inhale breath here, and as you exhale, crescent towards your leg for Janu Shashasana. You might grab your foot, and you might be able to reach both arms to your foot, trying to keep this knee grounded. If you can grab both hands to your foot, start to rotate your sternum to face more of the ceiling. Inhale to come back up. Rotate opposite hands to opposite shin bone. Your other hand will go behind you. Inhale, lengthen your spine, and exhale, twist, and then fold. Maybe your opposite hand goes to the pinky toe side of your foot, and you can push on the gas of your foot to stretch the scapula away from the spine. Just feels nice. Now we'll do a half circle. So come on up, take your left hand behind you, same knee that's bent, and then you'll lift your pelvis up, and you can make it either a side body stretch or you can make it a back bend. Ardha Mandalasana. Exhale to come back down, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. So tuck one foot in, Janu Shashasana, as you crescent over to one side. Remember, one side will be more mobile than the other, it's just natural. We have this idea that we should be symmetrical, but we are not symmetrical at all. One side can be vastly different than the other. Even our organs are not symmetrical, right? We have a heart on one side, bigger lung on the left. Or no, bigger lung on the right. All right, so from here you'll twist, opposite hand to shin bone, or maybe outside the foot. Use your other hand, prop. Inhale, lengthen your spine, and exhale, twist, then fold. And again, you might push on the gas if you have the ball of your foot to stretch the scapula away from the spine. You can do this with bent knee too. You'll still get the hamstring stretch if it's at the right point for you. Inhale to come back up. Take one hand behind, the same knee that's bent. Ardha Mandalasana. Got this wall here. And exhale to come back down. Bring your feet to the floor, roll onto your back, and come all the way down for your Shavasana. I know some of you are trying to skip out on your Shavasana right now. This is really the most important piece. Some rest after that. Kind of cue into how your body feels right now. Remember that you don't have to do traditional Shavasana. If you wanted to, you could come back to that restorative fish that we started with, where the ball or the blanket was rolled up behind your back and a block was behind your head. You could also bring your legs up the wall. Seated meditation. And wherever you are, we'll do those breaths again together. Nice long inhale. And extra long exhale. Maybe forceful out through the mouth, maybe out through the nose. We'll do that one more time. Big inhale. A nice long. Just a reminder that the practice of asana is a very, very small piece of a yoga practice. And that the yoga asana is there to maybe stir emotions, to become more aware of them. It can also be really to help us go into deeper meditation. Thank you so much for sharing your practice. I'm so grateful that you came. If you have any questions, I'm always here for you. You can message me through Facebook, or you can message me through Planet Granite. So thank you so much, and have a lovely rest of your day. Bye.